So I'm just realizing, I think I just don't want to work. Yep, you hear that, boomers? Gen Z just doesn't want to work nowadays. I don't. I really fucking don't. And I don't know why that's like a measurable thing for like worth or like hardworking stuff. Like, no, bro. I'm a certified complainer. I'm gonna complain about where I work every fucking time, because guess what? I don't want to work. I don't want to fucking work, bro. I don't. I fucking hate every job I've worked, bro. Besides, like, my first 2 jobs, I was young, and it wasn't really like, it's not like I had to pay rent. I've always been privileged to have a village, and like my mom has always helped me. So like, I was never working for like, you know, bills until kind of now. Now it's like, all right, I need to contribute better. So that's why I'm forcing myself to work harder than I usually have. But my first 2 jobs were fun because I was young. I was a fucking, you know, little rebellious teenager getting high on the clock and shit, you know, like both jobs. When I worked at Domino's, it was kind of like, it reminded me of Enterprise City. I don't know if anybody had that field trip when they were younger, but like, it just kind of felt, it just kind of felt like fake. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it just felt like I was there just to have fun. But now I'm working at a job that like isn't, honestly, when I take a step back and get out of my fucking mind, it's not as bad. Like, blue collar motherfuckers would be like, yep, well, guess what? I work 100 hours a week. I work my entire existence, and that's what you do. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's not like demanding. My job, I'm a cleaner. I basically work for myself because I never see anybody else. It's just me. I go to my building, I clean it, I leave, you know? But, you know, cleaning public areas comes with cleaning shit sprays. It comes with cleaning messes that you just cannot logically understand. I'm like, how did you fucking do that? And then you start realizing how entitled the general public is and how they don't give a fuck. They don't give a rat's ass if they make a disgusting mess because they're not the ones cleaning it. So then, like, this job that I have now just makes me angry. I'm always angry when I'm there. I'm just, the whole time I'm talking to myself, I'm just bitching at people I've never even met. Like the people who work there that I never see. I'm just cleaning up after them. I'm like, yo, y'all stinky butt ass fucking booty faces who leave their booty parsley on the fucking seats, on the ground, like little rolled up tiny pieces of toilet paper that are brown because you know it came out of their ass. And I don't know, it just makes me mad. I just don't want to work, ever. I don't want to work. Somebody hand me $50 million right now, because I'm not doing it. I'm not working for fucking potentially 65 years to maybe retire at 65, maybe, and still not be able to afford life. Fuck that. The thought of just living that life for as long as, you know, however long I have on this planet makes me already want to curl up into a ball. Call me weak. Sure. Call me fucking weak, bro. That's just me. I don't want to fucking work, and I'm tired of cleaning up booty sprays. I'm really tired of cleaning up shits that I cannot understand how they do it, bro. Like, don't get me wrong, I've had a couple explosives in my day, but like, wow, some of the shit I've seen there, I'm like, what the fuck? But yeah, moral of the story is, Gen Z doesn't want to work nowadays. I don't want to work nowadays. Fuck no. Why is this person staring at me? Take a picture to last a little bit longer.
Something that I find to be super interesting is the fact that older generations, I'm hearing them say a lot about how younger generations don't want to work or to like put in the reps, like put in the work. And typically, like when I hear this, you know, it's applied to the concept of corporate life and Gen Z, maybe not so much millennials, maybe some millennials, like younger millennials, getting to this point where we don't want to work or we don't want to like grind for companies. And I honestly do have a hard time with hearing this because I think that I personally have a narrative where I struggle with it because currently right now I'm in a corporate position and I have gotten to a point where I just don't feel like I have enough time outside of work where I'm able to like do the things that I'm passionate about, do what I enjoy, and have that work-life balance because I am commuting pretty far as well. And I struggle when I see that kind of feedback on it because it almost is like this, identity like problem for me where I'm like trying to find proof in myself that I'm not lazy, and that just because I don't want to climb the corporate ladder and I don't want to work my ass off for a company, that makes me lazy. I think a lot of people struggle with this and it being said and like thrown around so much, especially Gen Z and millennials, because I think we inherently know we're not lazy. And when people are saying that as a group we are lazy because we don't specifically want to climb the corporate ladder, like we don't want to conform to this way of living, and we really don't want to buy into this whole idea of how we're supposed to live our lives, I don't think that makes us lazy. And I think that for a lot of us, especially me, like when someone is saying that because I don't want to climb the corporate ladder and I don't want to hustle and work my butt off for a company that is not my own, that it makes me lazy. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people who are calling our generation lazy are referring to people who actually don't want to work, and maybe they're living at home and not working. But I guess like that's what happens when you generalize an entire group of people, is, you know, I'm part of that group, and it's like I am struggling with some of these things where I don't necessarily want to hustle for a company. I would much rather, you know, do what makes me happy and like work in a position that I feel fulfilled in and I have passion for, and maybe work on some other side stuff that I really enjoy tapping into. But I really do think that our generation, Gen Z, and some of the millennials, I really do think that we are asking really great questions that generations before us haven't really been asking, which is really like tapping into what is it that will make me happy long term, because we know that this way of living here in America is not going to give us the happiness that we are looking for. I don't think that there's anything wrong with trying to find balance in your life in a way that is going to work for you and maybe not look like everyone else's way of doing things.
To Gen Z and the workforce, it's not that Gen Z is lazy. It's not that Gen Z doesn't want to work. It's that they don't want to work under the conditions that our oppressors set for us. They set this kind of stage of working hard and doing more work than is expected of you without compensation, without recognition, and without reward. And Gen Z is no longer, they don't want to participate in it. As a fellow Gen Zer, I don't want to participate in it. If the job isn't fair, then I'm not willing to lose myself in it. I'm not willing to sacrifice my mental health and my well-being for money. And unfair money as well. The payment has to match the expectation. And it doesn't match. And our predators set that stage for us. So then they have this mentality that because they put up with this abuse and that they put up with this dynamic, that we also have to put up with it. And the fact that we are unwilling to put up with it, they deem us as lazy and they deem us as entitled. But really, it's just that we see the unfairness of the dynamic that they set up. That's the problem. And a lot of corporations and a lot of places are facing difficulties hiring, difficulties keeping people. And it's not because the people don't want to stay, it's because you're not paying them enough to stay, enough to make it worth it. If you're telling me that my time is worth $10.55 an hour, that's an insult. That is an insult. My time could be spent doing something that's making me happy, which is worth so much more than $10.55 an hour. It's worth more than $18 an hour. What's being paid at the sacrifice of time is not matching up. You're paying me for my time, and my time is valuable, just as yours is. And if you can't afford to pay people more, then that's poor business practice. Maybe you should pay yourself less. I honestly don't know. I don't know, because I don't know how much businesses make. I own my own LLC, but it's literally just me. I pay me. That's it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just Gen Z sees the abuse, not willing to put up with it. Therefore, the older generations deem us as lazy, entitled, and anything else under the sun, except for actually looking at the workforce that they set up for us and seeing that maybe there's a problem with it. Maybe it's not healthy. Maybe boundaries need to be set. Maybe the employees set the stage for employment and not the employers. It used to be, if you want to work for us, you have to blah, 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 blah. And now the stage is being set as to, if you want me to work for you, you need to blah, 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 blah. And if you don't meet blah, 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 then I'm not going to work for you. That is the transition that's happening. And a lot of places are unwilling to comply with this. And this is why a lot of Gen Z is not working, because they're not willing to comply. They're not willing to put ethics into their business practice. They're not willing to compensate fairly. They're not willing to have boundaries to allow people to prioritize themselves. It's you prioritize this company or else. No. If I don't prioritize me, I cannot work for you at my best capacity. That's that. If you don't like it, then you're out of an employee. Okay? That's what's happening right now. The employers think that they set the stage, but no. Employees are now shifting it to us having the power, because we do. If you want workers, if you want people to give up their time, you must compensate them fairly. You must have ethics within your business practice, because you cannot abuse your employees. You cannot do this. That's that.
Here's the real reason why Gen Z doesn't want to work. Kids these days, they don't want a hard days of work at all. They just want to quit their jobs and be on social media all day long. Yeah, it's actually a lot more complicated than that. We want to quit because we're being taken advantage of, put in huge amounts of debt, and not paid properly. See, because while you're working in the 80s, your salary could actually afford you a decent lifestyle, but let me just show you the numbers. Since 1970, home prices have increased by 1,608%. If we compare minimum wages from then and now, in 2022, minimum wage is 40% lower than what it should be compared to 1970. But anyways, the same home that cost you $100,000 in 1970 costs you $710,000 now. All the while, wages have remained stagnant. Okay, sure, but that's just the way things are now. We had struggles too. Live with it. Yeah, kind of hard to live with it when college has increased by 2,000%. Tuition used to be $1,700 in 1970. And in 2020, it's about $38,000 a year. Follow for more.
Gen Zs are lazy, Gen Zs don't care, Gen Zs are not serious about their career. Yes, it's because I got laid off 4 months after I started my first ever big girl job in New York City as an international student. And I was left to face the holidays in cold, harsh New York winters with barely any savings because I was literally paying so much money in rent every month. For a generation that has seen a lot of these layoffs happen early on in their career, I can completely understand why none of us want to work. And I want to talk about it today because that experience rewired my brain chemistry. And even though I got a job, in case you were wondering, I survived, I bounced back. I was gainfully employed the last 2 years. I was working in management consulting. I was never the same person. I knew that this job is not going to be a forever job. And I know that I have to fend for myself, and everybody else also should fend for themselves. I would tell this to my friends or anybody that I knew, but I know that once they also faced their own layoff scaries or actual layoff situations, they also realized how volatile today's job market is. Back in 2022, when I got laid off, I saw a few people that were also early career like me that were also laid off. But now the amount of people and new like college grads that I see that are not able to find jobs or are not able to keep their jobs because they got laid off is just insane, and it's not gotten any better even in 2025. I felt some type of way about gig economy and content creation and influencing, and I always felt that that was too unstable, and I just never thought that it would be such a big viable career option for so many people. But the amount of instability that corporate America or corporate whatever offers is just crazy, and I didn't know that I would live to see this world. I know a lot of people that own small businesses and are making a lot more money than they ever would in a stable, cushy corporate job. But if you're going through something similar, just know that you're not alone.
Why are we not talking about how fucking sick a 40-hour work week is? I'm so sorry. So you're telling me that I have to wake up at the fucking butt crack of dawn every single day?
Yeah, stupid. Look, I struggle with this because, there's obviously a lot of validity in what this young lady is saying, but it's also the crux of what's wrong with a lot of our generation in society right now, where they don't think, and no one seems to think, that they have to do anything that's remotely uncomfortable. And sure, take care of yourself, don't be exploited, don't work yourself to death, don't stress yourself into a heart attack. But at the same time, yes, life is not easy, and I think a lot of privileged people, regardless of their ethnic or cultural background, are suddenly thinking the world is entitled to them, or that they're entitled to all the perks and benefits of a good life. Yeah, at some point, you're going to have to do shit you don't wanna. And this isn't an old, angry old man telling you what's what. It's why our country is probably not going to be the country that we remember and want it to be in about 100 years, because of thinking like that. Well, I don't want to. I shouldn't have to. I'm going to work from home in my underwear and teach yoga via Zoom from my farmhouse in upstate New York. And let's be frank, guys. It's rich white liberals. Rich white liberal women. Buy my book, How to Manage Your Girlfriend's White Guilt and Other Horrifying Tales of Rich White Liberals. Go to work.
Is it really so shocking to learn that Gen Z doesn't really have the same appetite for climbing the corporate ladder anymore, when we are relentlessly reminded in so many ways by our culture that labor is not viewed as an asset, but instead a cost? The most high-paid positions in society are finance, more specifically private equity and hedge funds that infiltrate companies and cost cut. What's the highest cost? Labor. So it's always heads on spikes. That's what people want, right? So it's a completely adversarial relationship that capital has with labor now. If you want to get paid the most, you have to fire the most. And why would you work hard for a company that views you as a nuisance, right? They can't wait to get rid of you.
That's another huge change from what was in the past, is that people could go stay at companies for long term, be taken care of, be treated with respect, be treated as an asset as opposed to being a liability. It's changed a lot. And it's another reason why I agree with these people of a lot of their points, not all of them, obviously.
That's what AI is all about. It's about taking over what you're doing. It's about taking skilled labor completely away from society, so there's only Amazon delivery drivers left. And I don't know, that's pretty much it. And private equity's coming for everything.
Amazon delivery drivers are probably out of a job as well. I've just seen that they're about to do a bunch of layoffs, because once they figure out the robotics portion of it as well, a lot of people are in danger.
2, HVAC, electricians, all of that. All of those companies are being bought up now. So no wonder we want to pursue our hobbies and things like that. We've been told by capitalists over and over again that they can't wait to replace us, so we don't want to work for them.
Now, I think getting into the trade is still a really good career choice, a good direction to go with the trades. HVAC, electricians, things like that, because being able to work with your hands is so important. And unfortunately, I didn't spend most of my life learning trades or learning how to work with my hands like a lot of my friends. I'm actually the odd one out because I'm like the only one that can't do a lot of these things. I think that's where the money is going to be in the future. I've seen that Google is going to put a bunch of money into trading people to be electricians. I think that is going to be a high paying job in the future. I think it's going to be a long time before you can get robots to actually take over that job, because working with your hand and being dexterous with, robots, that's going to be a long, long time from now. That probably is the future. But then I was talking about this not too long ago on a different video about how I was thinking about maybe I should go learn how to be an electrician. And they were like, you don't think everybody else ain't thinking that too? It's about to be flooded and oversaturated. And on top of that, it's really hard because I actually tried to get into HVAC and to be an electrician while everybody was saying that they couldn't find nobody to work and they're not hiring. But I couldn't get nobody to give me a chance, even as an apprentice. And I know I'm a little bit older, considered for the workforce, but also like I have a lot of experience and I can bring a lot of value that's not directly involved in the position I'm being hired for. I don't know. It's a lot, man. There's so many unknowns, and I'd be lying if I knew what's really going to go on. Is AI really going to live up to all the hype? Is it not? I have no idea. I really don't. But what I do know is that what I'm seeing and the patterns and how things are playing out, that I wouldn't doubt it, man, if things don't look really, really different in 5 to 10 years, and that having your own sources of income are super important, and building your own things are super important, and learning how to work with your hands are going to be so, so important.
I cannot stand how the news has been dogging Gen Z and calling them lazy for not wanting to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of their lives. Let me put it in perspective for everybody who's a little confused here, okay? I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat. All by myself. I would not be capable of doing that. 20 years ago when you were getting started, you could live on your own. 20 years ago when you first started, you were able to do everything that I am now struggling to do. Let me add another perspective here. You've been working for 20 years. You have 20 years of working experience behind your belt. You have 20 years of experience in a career that has allowed you to gain raises, to get more money, to profit you in an economy that you created. You can sit here and you can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but I've been working my tail end off just to barely make it by. And respectfully, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I don't want to work my tail end off, wasting all of my life working just to barely be able to pay my bills. And that is what you created, not Gen Z. We're just here getting started. You've been doing it for the last 20 years. You tell me how it got ruined. We can sit here and we can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but you let the economy turn into what it did. You let it all run to hell. And now it's Gen Z's fault because we don't want to work to fix your mistakes.
Derek, can you tell the class what you just told me?
How much would minimum wage need to be today to match the home buying power of boomers getting minimum wage in the 1970s?
My guess was $35. Okay, what's the answer?
$66.
That is diabolical. We don't stand a chance, you guys. We're screwed.
Gen Z doesn't want to work anymore. That's a constant topic that I hear consistently online. Nothing new, nothing rare of an opinion, but something that I feel like I just consistently hear on the internet. Now, as a fellow Gen Z, I feel that sentence to a certain degree, but I agree and disagree about it. I think when hearing the words Gen Z doesn't want to work anymore, it's perceived as just like we're super lazy, but I think it's a lot more deeper rooted than that. I was recently just watching a really good video of somebody rambling, talking about the fact that we have a choice to make because we talk about, how we're better than the previous generations, or that we're the hopeful generation or the one for the future, and that we're, not smoking as much, but we're kind of vaping, so it's the exact same thing. We're talking about a lot of the things that we claim we're better at, we're kind of doing just in a different font, you could say. Because nowadays, there's so many different addictions. It's just there was smoking and drinking in the past. There still is that now, but now people are addicted to vapes and gambling, but it's all online gambling. Or, something along the lines of gooning. That's a huge one as well. And it's just super normalized. And although naturally, I think, every single generation, every single human being that's going to exist ever is going to need something to improve on, regardless of however better we want to perceive ourselves in comparison to the previous generation. But I think when it comes to Gen Z not wanting to work, it's a lot more deeper rooted than that, because I really think that regardless, whatever time period we're in, human beings need some sort of work, right? Generally speaking, we're going to need some sort of work, or else we'll probably go crazy. Like, even if we lived in a completely jobless society, I'm pretty sure we would create some sort of work to keep us from going insane, or to keep us, just level. Similar to how, not to compare us to dogs, but other animals have a natural instinct to require something in order to function properly. Like, dogs need to walk around, or at least run around, get some form of exercise. So do we. But similar to us, since we're a more intelligent species, we need something to be able to occupy our mental, that being work. But we're also a lot smarter than just going by our natural instincts. So I think we realize and recognize the patterns that the, let's say, 9 to 5 pipeline, I guess, has built for us. Maybe we went a bit overboard, and now we're kind of what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Recoiling back, in a sense, where we're like, oh God, no, I don't want to do this whatsoever. We couldn't live, even if we had everything completely done for us, I still don't think that we could manage a completely jobless society. So I think where the whole quote of Gen Z doesn't want to work anymore is realistically just us having that pattern recognition of people, are doing 9 to 5s, and one, they're still not happy or satisfied with their life. The hours are really, really painstaking sometimes. You don't necessarily have time for anything else. Oh my God, there's a lot of wind. Just because you're spending so much time and effort driving to and from work, or at least spending a lot of time around work. And maybe had we scheduled things a bit better, people would be more satisfied. And 3, everything is so ridiculously expensive that most of the 9 to 5s nowadays, at least the average wage or the median of wages, don't provide us enough to be able to live a chill or fulfilling life whatsoever. Not to mention that a lot of companies don't really care about their employees. I feel like nowadays it's very rare to hear about staying at a company for 10 plus years, just because along with people job hopping and that becoming a popular trend, I feel like that became a thing because companies are now doing mass layoffs. They're showing that they don't really have any sort of employee loyalty whatsoever. And not that each and every single employee is absolutely entitled to that sort of thing, but it's just when the company doesn't care, why should the employees? So now it's just we're in a hectic in-between stage of just trying to figure out exactly what we want or how things should be organized. Not to mention, a lot of the older generation, people currently in power, are dictating the way that we're supposed to live our lives, but not also providing enough for us to be satisfied. I don't know. This is a whole video essay topic that, can't just be summarized in a TikTok, but, or it could just be an entire podcast as is. But the idea of Gen Z doesn't want to work anymore just seems very short-sighted or shallow-minded at the very least, because there are reasons as to why we're now put in a place where work does not seem appealing anymore. Look, I know money doesn't buy happiness or whatever, but I'm pretty sure if everybody got their wages kicked up by 50K, you would not hear nearly as many people bitching about their jobs. I think from Gen Z's perspective, why play the game when you know the game is rigged from the start? And I think that's where a lot of us are well, fuck work, I guess. That being said, I hope we, find a way to figure things out and fix it and just move on from there, or at least get, a better future. But I'm curious, because I'm talking from my perspective only and what I've seen through friends and family, but what's yours?
These kids don't want to work today. They just don't want to work. Ask anybody. Except I'll tell you what, when I was 19 years old, I worked at Applebee's, and I could pay my rent for my apartment that I split with a few buddies. I could put gas in my car. I could get food. I could get a haircut once a month, and I could go to the bar for a quarter beers every Wednesday, man, So I'm telling you right now, these kids, to get an apartment, you need first, last, and a security deposit. The rent's $2,800 a month, and you need a 750 fucking credit score. They can't afford fucking anything. So maybe they don't want to work, or maybe they just figure, what's the fucking point? Maybe I'll just stay in my fucking mom's basement and drive Uber Eats every time I want to fucking go to the weed store.
Crazy to me that you raised an entire generation telling them basically, we hate you and there's nothing for you. Fuck you. And then that generation doesn't want to do anything. It doesn't really feel like working hard. Wow, that's crazy. These kids are so disrespectful. I don't understand it. They're the most terrible children I've ever seen. They live in a world where you have told them from the time that they have been, like, literally a child, there's nothing for you. Like, you get an education, you go nowhere. You get into a job market where you get laid off every 6 months and then you spend the next 6 months looking for a job. Or you work at fucking Walmart until your knees turn to dust. And then they don't pay for your fucking knee replacement. While you keep working at Walmart, well, you can't retire and you can't own a home, so you're just going to work until you die. Oh, I don't understand why telling an entire generation you're going to work until you die, why they don't want to work. That's crazy. Entitled, man.
You know, I think it's so funny about how boomers are constantly trying to shame Gen Z about not working or whatever. Is like boomers have been shamed into doing everything, into contorting to society's ideals through shame, right? That's pretty much how they've marketed everything, from gay people to witches to Democrats. It's like, you guys are on the outs. That's what they just think will work. If they make fun of us enough, we'll change. But Gen Z doesn't care, right? Like, Gen Z does whatever they want, as humans should, and that really pisses boomers off. They do not like people who do whatever they want. They don't understand people who refuse to do what other people want. That just doesn't make sense to them. Like, what if you're poor? And Gen Z's like, so what? A lot of people work and are also poor, so what do you want me to do? Like, they have seen society's bullshit. They've grown up with it, and they're over it. They literally don't care. That's what's so funny. It's like, you can shame them all you want. It's not gonna make them work.
Does it seem to anyone other than me that all of these younger kids don't want to work?
The fact that you don't understand that this younger generation doesn't want to work in the same deplorable conditions that you had to work in is part of the problem. Done are the days of taking absolute shit from your employer and only making $15 an hour and then having to drive an hour back and forth each way, because let's face it, $15 an hour does not go as far today as it did when you were in your 20s. If anything, you could learn a thing or two from this generation about how to be treated appropriately by your boss or managers. This younger generation has wised up to the fact that these employers are only loyal to one thing, and that is making a dollar. So while you may look at it as they just don't want to work, or, you know, they may seem as though they aren't working, they are doing exactly what is in their job description and no more, until they get an appropriate raise in pay to avoid getting taken advantage of like your generation did.